everybody, Mark, aka the Nerdy Punk, back again today for a new video, and welcome to the first annual Nerdy Punk Movie Awards. Yes, this is a bit of an undertaking for me, but I am planning on starting this series where every year I take the movies that I have watched, and around Oscars time, I put out my awards. So taking the Oscar categories and just pretending that I am the Academy, just me, one person, and I get to make the decisions. This is what I would nominate and what I would choose to win. So this is obviously a subjective list. There is some overlap with the Oscars in real life. Some things that I, think deserve the nominations and deserve the wins that I've taken over, but then some other movies that I think should have been awarded and should have been given the praise that they deserve. So we're going to run through this kind of similar to the Oscars, but there will be no physical assault involved, thankfully. That's another inspiration for this video. The absolute travesty that was the Oscars for 2022. I felt like I really wanted to do this now. So we're doing it. We are, don't know how many views this will get, but fuck it. It's happening. I hope those of you who do watch it enjoy it. I'm going to run through each individual category. I'm going to give you all the movies and performances that I will nominate, and then I will tell you which one I would choose to win. And if I had an award to give them, I would give them an award for the movie, the performance, etc. I'm not doing every single category because there's certain categories that I saw no movies in, and there's certain categories where I have put in a couple movies that I haven't actually seen, and I've done that for various reasons. So when we get to costume design, I'm putting in a movie or two that I haven't seen, but obviously with costume design, you can tell based on the photos and, the set footage and stuff, how great that work is. And so I feel like you can nominate that. And then there's one category that I really wanted to include, but I had only seen 2 films from that category. So I went ahead and just took the Oscar nominees and put those in there as well. All right, let's get started. Our first category is going to be Best Visual Effects. All right, so our first category, Best Visual Effects. I went ahead and stuck with the format of 5 nominees for each category, except for, of course, Best Picture, which had 10 nominees, and I went ahead and did 10 nominees for that as well. So, the nominees here, I picked Spider-Man No Way Home, which I think obvious why that has incredible visual effects. While I wasn't overwhelmed with the film or anything, I think the visual effects were great. Dune as well, incredible visual effects in that movie. No Time to Die, which has a lot of great fight scenes. Godzilla vs. Kong. This is the spoiler-only nomination for that movie, but I thought, obviously, the best part of that movie is the fight scenes between Godzilla and King Kong. And then, of course, Titan, which is one of my favorite movies of the year. I thought, visually, it was stunning. And I'm giving the award to Dune. So the first award goes to Dune. They knocked it out of the park. Visually stunning. Awesome movie. Next category is Best Film Editing. And for this one, I have the nominees of West Side Story, Dune, The Last Duel, No Time to Die, and The French Dispatch. And I'm giving the award to The Last Duel, a film that was not awarded with anything at the Oscars this year in real life. No nominations at all, but I think it was an incredible piece of filmmaking. And I think the way that film is put together is so unique in the way it chose to tell that story. So I think this is the category that it deserved the win the most in, even though I will be nominating it for several other categories as well. But The Last Duel, great movie from Ridley Scott that was overlooked last year. Next is Best Costume Design, and in this case, you're seeing the first appearance of a movie that I did not watch this year. Now, for these next 2 categories, I'm justifying that by saying that with costume design and the next category, which is makeup and hairstyling, I think you can judge the film based on the pictures that you see of the characters. Would I have preferred to have watched this movie? Yes. But I think just frankly looking at the designs, I think
this film deserves recognition. So, the film in question is Cruella, but my other nominees are West Side Story, The Last Duel, Dune, and Nightmare Alley. And I'm giving the award to Cruella, which won in real life, I believe. I think the design was just incredible, and it's a film about fashion and fashion designers. So I think it knocked it out of the park, and it gets the first award. Next is makeup and hairstyling, which my nominees are The Power of the Dog, Dune, Titan, West Side Story, and Cruella. And again, giving the award to Cruella. I think just when it comes to makeup, when it comes to costumes, I think that movie looked incredible from what I've seen of it. But these other films all was incredible when it came to costumes and makeup and all that stuff. So Cruella gets this award. Next one is cinematography, and this was one of the most difficult categories for me. So my nominees are Nightmare Alley, Dune, The Power of the Dog, West Side Story, and The French Dispatch. I think all of them looked absolutely gorgeous this year, but I'm giving it to Nightmare Alley, just barely edging out Dune. I think those two movies looked the best in terms of cinematography, but just the set design, the way that that film looked, I think Nightmare Alley was exceptional in that regard. It was just a beautiful movie from start to finish. While Dune was also visually stunning, I had to go with Nightmare Alley. Next is production design. Very similar category to cinematography. I'm not entirely sure where they draw the lines between the two, but my nominees are very similar. In this instance, I'm going with Nightmare Alley, Dune, The Power of the Dog, West Side Story, and this time we're throwing in Titan as well. I ended up giving this one to Dune. Again, the categories are so similar, and the two films were both so exceptional in this department. So I ended up giving it to Dune. This time, of course, the last one to Nightmare Alley. Next one is Best Sound, and my nominees are The Power of the Dog, Dune, No Time to Die, West Side Story, and Spider-Man No Way Home. And this award will go to Dune. I think, without a doubt, the best sounding film of the year. I have this one on 4K, and I didn't get a chance to see it in theaters, unfortunately, but on the 4K disc, the sound was incredible. Like, if you have a surround sound setup at your home theater, you are going to be blown away by this movie. It is just earth-shattering, the sound in this film. I think every other film on this list was also incredible, but have to go with Dune. Next award is for Best Original Score. My nominees are Van Morrison for Belfast, Hans Zimmer for Dune, Johnny Greenwood for Power of the Dog, Nicolas Bertel for Don't Look Up, and Alexandre Desplat for The French Dispatch. I think the score was incredible for all of these movies, but I'm going to give it to Johnny Greenwood for The Power of the Dog. I think it is potentially his best work in original film scores, and he has been killing it as of late with the movies that he's been scoring. I'm thinking of Phantom Thread from Paul Thomas Anderson from a few years ago. The score for that one was incredible. He also did the score for There Will Be Blood, which I actually haven't seen, but I've heard great things about. I think he is absolutely deserving of this award. Hans Zimmer also deserving, and I was going back and forth between the two. Hans Zimmer got the Oscar in real life, but I ended up going with Johnny Greenwood. Next category is International Feature. Now, this category is also the ones where I had to take a little liberty with some films that I actually haven't seen. So, the two films that I have seen on this list are Drive My Car and Titan. Now, I really wanted to include this category, so what I did was I just took 3 of the nominees that were Best International Feature nominees at the Real Life Oscars. So we have Flea, which I've heard incredible things about, an animated film from Denmark, I think. The Hand of God, which again heard pretty good things about, from Italy, and The Worst Person in the World, which I had a chance to see it in theaters, and I just didn't get to it. I really want to see that movie, but That one's coming out on Criterion later this year, so I'll probably pick that up and finally watch that one. I'm going with Titan for the best international feature. This movie comes from France. It was my favorite movie of the year last year. I think it was just so amazing in the themes that that film tackled and dealt with. And while I really like to drive my car as well, I had to go with Titan. Next up is Best Adapted Screenplay. The nominees being Ryusuke Hamaguchi and Takamosa Oe for Drive My Car. I apologize if I butchered any of those pronunciations. Next is Jane Campion for The Power of the Dog. And then we have Nicole Holofcener. I'm sorry about that pronunciation. Ben Affleck and Matt Damon for The Last Duel. John Spates, Denis Villeneuve, and Eric Roth for Dune. And Stephen Karam for The Humans. Now, some of these nominees were the real-life nominees, and some of them I threw in because I think they were the best screenplays of the year. Stephen Karam, with his film The Humans, I thought that movie is, while I didn't pick it to win this category, that movie is so dialogue-driven, and the performances are so amazing in that movie, and the script is so amazing. And The Last Duel script, which is the first script that Ben Affleck and Matt Damon have written with each other since, I think, Good Will Hunting, which won them an Oscar. And Nicole, whatever her last name is, sorry, can't pronounce that. I thought they did a really good job on that movie, and that's a movie that relies a lot on subtlety when it comes to the script, and I thought that was really good. But I'm going with Drive My Car, which another very heavily dialogue-driven movie, and there are so many moments in that script that just eat at you emotionally that I think it absolutely is deserving of that award. Next is Original Screenplay. Nominees being Julia Ducournau for Titan, Adam McKay and David Sirota for Don't Look Up, Wes Anderson for The French Dispatch, Paul Thomas Anderson for Licorice Pizza, and Kenneth Branagh for Belfast. And I am giving the award to Paul Thomas Anderson for Licorice Pizza. I think it's one of his best scripts. While I haven't seen all of his movies, I connected with that film pretty deeply, and it's another dialogue-heavy film that really relies on the script, and I think it was really, really good. So Paul Thomas Anderson gets the Original Screenplay Award. Next up, Best Supporting Actress. So we're finally getting to some performances here. First nominee is Ariana DeBose for West Side Story. And then Jane Howdy-Shell for The Humans, a performance that I just want to spotlight really quickly because she was outstanding in that movie. A lot of the key emotional weight behind that movie comes from her performance. And she also played that character in the Broadway play adaptation. She was so good in that. Kirsten Dunst for Power of the Dog. Cate Blanchett for Nightmare Alley. She and Bradley Cooper kind of carry the second act of that movie. And then Katrina Balfe for Belfast, who I thought provided some of the most emotional weight in that movie, a movie that I felt like didn't give me everything that I wanted it to. I loved her performance. But I'm giving the award to Ariana DeBose for West Side Story. Same person who won the Oscar. I think that was one of the best awards of the night. I think she is absolutely 100% deserving of that award. So she takes home the Best Supporting Actress. Next up for Best Supporting Actor. So I have Cody Smith-McPhee for Power of the Dog, Mike Feist for West Side Story, Kieran Hines from Belfast, Jesse Plemons from Power of the Dog, and Oscar Isaac from Dune. The award's going to go to Cody Smith-McPhee for Power of the Dog. I think he delivers a kind of understated performance in that movie, but it's so chilling and at the same time empathetic that I really enjoyed it. I thought he was great in the movie. Honorable mention to Mike Feist from West Side Story. I think he was one of the best parts of that movie. Delivered a fantastic performance. Now to the really big ones. So first, I have Best Actress. Nominees Agatha Rousselle for Titan, Jodie Comer for The Last Duel. I think Jodie Comer was amazing in that movie. best performance of the movie by far. The things she had to do in that movie, and the fact that her performance relied so much on subtlety, in that she had to act out the same kind of sequences multiple times. I think she was incredible. Alana Haim for Licorice Pizza, another incredible performance, a first time performance. Lady Gaga for House of Gucci. I think she was by far the best part of that movie, a movie with many flaws. And Toko Miura for Drive My Car. She provides, I think she carries really half of the emotional weight in that movie. So she was incredible. The award goes to Agatha Roussel, who was a first time actress. This was her first role, definitely her first leading role, but I think her first role overall in an entire movie. And she was incredible. You have to really buy her performance to buy the movie, and she was awesome. So she gets the Best Actress award. Now for the guys, Best Actor, Vincent Lindon for Titan, Benedict Cumberbatch from Power of the Dog, Richard Jenkins from The Humans, Bradley Cooper, Nightmare Alley, and Daniel Craig for No Time to Die. That's kind of my fanboy pick there. He's pretty much a distant fifth, although I think Daniel Craig is incredible as Bond. The award's going to Bradley Cooper for Nightmare Alley. He carried that movie. That movie is not nearly as good without Bradley Cooper's performance. He is the centerpiece, and if he doesn't do well, the movie doesn't do well. So I think Bradley Cooper is deserving of that award. All right, Best Director. My nominees are Julia Ducournau for Titan, Denis Villeneuve for Dune, The Power of the Dog, Jane Campion, Paul Thomas Anderson for Licorice Pizza, and Steven Spielberg for West Side Story. So a lot of overlap here, but some notable changes. So I think Julia Ducournau was incredible behind the camera with Titan. She has absolutely become a director to watch. For me, I have to see every one of her films after Titan, and I think that says a lot about her talent as a director. Spielberg absolutely knocked it out of the park with West Side Story. I think that's one of his best movies, and despite the fact that he has made so many classic movies. But I think the award should go to Denis Villeneuve for Dune. This is his best work, and he is a phenomenal filmmaker. He didn't even get nominated for the Oscars, which I think was the biggest travesty of the bunch. Jane Campion is also deserving. I think every single one of these directors did a phenomenal job with their movies this year, but Denis Villeneuve just stands a little bit above the pack. And now for the big one, Best Picture. I have obviously 10 nominees. Couldn't fit 10 nominees on the screen, so we're going to do this in two parts. So I'm going to go through the nominees I have here, the first five, and then we'll go to the last five. So, first up, Drive My Car. Fantastic movie. I think it deserves all the praise that it's getting. It's a bit of a slow burn, but it's very emotional. Don't Look Up. I think it's one of the best satires that I've seen in a very long time. The Last Duel, a movie that was not nominated in real life, a movie that I think is so unique in the way that it tells its story. It also provided some good action sequences in it, although that's not the focus of the movie at all, but I think that was kind of in the background. Licorice Pizza, phenomenal movie. Out of the real life Best Picture nominees, it was my favorite. Belfast, a movie that barely made the cut for me, but it's a movie that I wanted more from. It just feels kind of like an Oscar bait movie, but I still think it was a really good piece of filmmaking. Next up, Nightmare Alley from Guillermo del Toro. Fantastic movie. Dune, The Power of the Dog, West Side Story, and my Best Picture winner, Titan. I think Titan was my favorite movie, but I also think it was the best movie that was released in 2021. It was such a fantastic film. I've talked about this film several times in the past, but the way that it approaches its subject matter, I think Unfortunately, it was considered too weird for the Oscars. I hate that idea entirely because this movie was so incredible and it's so much more than what it on the surface appears to be. Yes, you do have some really cool body horror elements, you have some sci fi elements, but at its core, this film explores humanity and the core of humanity and our hearts, our souls, the concept of unconditional love, and I think it was just so expertly well done that it is obviously my best picture pick. So, Titan is my best picture. All right, let me real quick go through some of the nomination totals. So, my most nominated film, I believe, was a tie between Dune and The Power of the Dog, which both got, I believe, 12 nominations. And then I nominated Titan for 9 awards, West Side Story for 9 awards, Nightmare Alley for 6, and then I believe everything else was less than 5. I did pick a lot of the same nominees that the real life Oscars did because I think that they were kind of spot on with those. But I obviously picked a lot of different winners, and I picked several films at the Oscars I feel like overlooked that should have been celebrated for their achievements this year. I don't know if I'm going to do this in the future, but who knows? I feel like it was kind of a fun thing to put together. I don't know how many people will watch it, but I had fun doing it, and that's really all that matters. That's really a wrap on my comments for the most part on the 2021 releases for movies. Looking forward to a great 2022. We're already off and running with some great movies, and I can't wait to explore all that 2022 has to offer in the cinema world. Have a great day, guys. I will see you later.